I'm being a bit more relaxed today because today I can have a lie-in. We're going to start at 11:30, or at least me and the stage manager are starting at 11:30. We're making things in the prop store, so that means I've got an extra bit of time in bed and obviously can relax in the bath, which is rather nice. Over the past couple of days I've been thinking that it might be fun. Basically, I've been to a couple of meetings where they've sort of explained a particular thing, and actually I've come away from that meeting thinking, well, that's given me an idea to do something. And I have literally toyed with it in my mind for a couple of days, this idea, and thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if I could do that? And then thought, no, you can't talk about it. You certainly can't mention it in front of the other members of the team, because if you do, there'll probably be somebody in the team who goes, oh, for God's sake, who the bloody hell do you think you are? Why don't you fuck off home? We've got quite enough people being paid, thank you. You're just the work experience. Well, they might do, they might not. But, you could easily put people's noses out of joint by being too keen. So I was on my way home, and I was thinking, it's been quite a good day, so how about we just get in for a penny, in for a pound, email the producer and say, look, what do you think? What do you think about this idea? He's only gone and said, go out with your video camera and get some footage and then bring it back to me. Shit. So I've got my task to do. I've got a box, I've got some instructions, I've got a sandwich inside the box just to keep me going, and I'm in search of some things that I need to get for tomorrow. Terribly exciting, although I've got to go to Tottenham Court Road. It seems a very long way to go. Can't help wondering whether maybe they just want me out of the way. Right, I've got everything now. I've got the ring. I had to go to Edgware Road to get the ring. But I really don't want to come out here again. It's nearly 4 o'clock and I am shattered. Absolutely shattered. I feel like I've been at some all-night party. I got in at about 10 o'clock, which is not terribly late, really. No, it's probably 10:30. By the time I got in at 10:30, I felt like I'd walked around all of London. The balls of my feet were just, they were just in agony. It felt like they'd swollen up and that they were red raw, and this essentially comes from the fact that I stood most of the day. I spent most of the day standing up. It's also worth pointing out that there were plenty of chairs put out for me. There were plenty of opportunities to sit down, but for some reason I didn't want to sit down, possibly because I wanted to feel and give the impression that I was alert at all times, and should there be some kind of crisis I could leap to it at a moment's notice. After a while, I think you go through the pain barrier, and then you just let it mount up and up and up, a bit like credit card debt, I'd have thought. And then after a while I think, fuck, I'm in a lot of pain. I recorded the show last night, and it was very, very good. What I saw and heard of it behind the curtains where the art department were sort of stationed, it was very, very funny. And the thing that made it the most obvious was the audience. I don't actually know where the audience came from. I don't know where the tickets were advertised. There was a full audience there, as one would expect. Some friends of mine, and the audience just laughed in a way that just made me think they're really excited. They really love Graham Norton. Well, it really was quite exciting, don't get me wrong. I mean, it is the first thing in the morning. Warm-up lady came on, and then Graham Norton just sort of leapt onto the stage, and everybody went wild. Everybody in the audience went wild, and that was a lovely thing. A really, really lovely thing, a special thing. I remember Graham Norton on Channel 4, and I remember friends of ours coming around on Friday night, because we have this sort of Friday night tradition thing. We all sit around the table. I talk a great deal, like I'm doing now, and then they say, would you fuck off? And then we go into the lounge and we sit and watch television. That way I stop talking and they can enjoy the rest of the evening. But Friday nights were always about watching Graham Norton. That was the sort of Friday night tradition, and we used to get... It just gave us a bit of a cosy feeling. Do I want Graham Norton to be exactly the same as he was on Channel 4 when me, Ryan, Adrian and Simon really enjoyed watching him? Will I actually be fundamentally disappointed? Graham Norton comes on, does his thing, and the music starts, and... It was just amazing. It was really, really funny. I wasn't drunk in any way. He was just really funny, and the crowd loved him. Me and the stage manager were sat behind the screen watching it on this big monitor, and I heard her say, oh, it's so nice to see him doing this stuff again. I thought, well, there's two, I haven't even primed her. I didn't prime her to say that. She just said that of her own accord. Two stagehands or lighting people were stood behind us, right? They just stood quite a way behind us, and they could see the monitor from where they were standing. And every now and again, they would both be laughing out loud. Now, they must see loads of people go through that studio. A lot of people who think they're funny aren't, think they're funny then could be. They must get quite jaded. So for them, in my mind, for them to laugh out loud in the way they did, that must mean they genuinely liked the guy. Last night was the night of the show, the night that the show was played out. It was a weird feeling to hear the music start up again. I've only heard the music once. I mean, maybe 4 or 5 times, given that I sat in on set the day before. But to hear the music, to see the graphics, and then think, oh my god, this is it, what's it going to be like, The first 15 minutes of what I saw on TV were exactly what I heard in the studio. The most telling thing being Graham Norton rushing down steps. And the crowd, I remember saying it, the crowd just sort of being really, really appreciative, really excited, really wanting him to be there. And it did feel like he had come back. So it was nice. It was really nice. I hadn't appreciated quite how much potentially, relatively risky language there was in the show. There was a shot of a vagina, which was lovely. I think that was great. That's long overdue. Why shouldn't we be able to see that? All of this, everything, the Graham Norton show, whatever went on afterwards, I didn't stick around for that long, seemed to coincide with a lot of bigger things. The identity of the channel had changed slightly. There's been a big thing in the press over the past few days about how BBC Two, the network, sort of redesigned itself. Well, not redesigned itself, they've got designers in. They had been redesigned and looked quite nice. Looked quite nice. Really loved the font. I do get very excited about fonts. And it wasn't until I sat down and watched Dead Ringers and Graham Norton, the beginning of 2 series, that I realised it's been quite a big thing, actually. This has been quite a big thing. This has been the beginning of a new series, which has started as part of essentially a rebranding exercise. Albeit a very mild rebranding exercise, not like a completely new design. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing. Then when I sat back at the end of the show and thought, hang on, I worked on one of those shows in the run-up to the first edition, which was broadcast on the night of a network rebrand. How the fuck did I manage that? Wow! Jesus, I'm shameless. I'm really, really shameless. And that's quite humbling. I really appreciate that opportunity. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, didn't you have a stubble? Yeah, I did have a stubble. This morning marks the end of my 13 days leave, which means I have to go back to work. I'm a bit nervous about going back to work. It's the first day back at work after all of that unpleasantness. But don't worry, I'm not going to make a video diary out of it. That would be really boring. Those who have paid close attention to what has gone on before might possibly be thinking, hang on, didn't you email the producer of the show that you did work experience on? Aren't producers quite important? Didn't the producer say to you that maybe you should go out and get some footage about that idea? Do you remember that? The thing is, I had to confess that I had a bit of a reality check about that particular idea. Because my tendency is that when I start analysing things, then the idea can kind of break down. And that's definitely what happened to that particular idea. It's not like the producer didn't know. I did email him and say, this particular idea is dead. And so I know that some people might possibly say, well, you didn't really deliver on that idea, really, so you failed, didn't you? Maybe. I mean, I might possibly have failed to deliver on that idea, but delivered on this one. And this one, the idea for this, I had that idea when I got up on the morning of Tuesday, the 13th of February. Yay!